Okay, so I was very late on catching up with the Patrick Star show. But now I got some help and can watch the show through totally legal means. We got 22 11-minute episodes and two 22-minute specials, and we are going to go through each episode and then rank them all from worst to best.
Hey!
So, this episode and its sister episode, as well as two more episodes, is all I have seen of this show before making this video. This is actually not a bad start to the show. This first episode doesn't do much to establish Patrick's family, but they all get at least one chance to show off one of their character traits. There is also a couple of funny scenes, like the credit part where Patrick talks really fast, and if you pause you can see a guy asking for a ride home in the credits. We also have a scene here where Patrick isn't just a giant glutton and actually lets the silverfish have their food. I was so sure he was gonna take it from them, so I was very surprised when they went the other route. That's good because you want your protagonist to be likable, so it makes sense. I don't think this is a good episode, but there are some interesting things here, like the doors being portals and the commercial for the chum bucket, which was a really cool concept. There was also a caveman segment that switched the art style, which we will get some more of down the line.
Nothing like a relaxing morning fishing.
The first thing we see in this episode is a character that we should not see at all in the show. Squidward is here for some reason, and he has a feud with Patrick's dad. Squid was here in the last episode as well, but there he was in like a quick scene. Here he literally he gets more screen time than like Patrick's whole new family combined in this episode. Anyway, Patrick has to get a job, so he and SpongeBob kind of just go around town doing stuff. It's fine, I guess. There's a couple of fun things, like a black and white gangster movie parody with Fred. This episode has both Squidward and SpongeBob in it, which drags it down a bit as Patrick family really does nothing here. It should have just been a SpongeBob episode, honestly, because all this episode is Patrick and SpongeBob going out to get jobs together and failing. There's barely anything with the Patrick show touch here. Patrick and Grandpat have a conflict over the stairs. The whole army no man's step thing was good, but the rest of the episode wasn't it. The first half of this episode is really boring. Grandpat is not a funny character, and him and Patrick saying the same things to each other just feel like waste of characters. The faces in this episode were also really bad. Also, for as interesting the short army no man's step segment was, they kind of ruined it by just turning it into some sort of Viking fight with baguettes that really wasn't interesting. The last scene had some decent animation though, although the ending was really stupid. Also, for how different and unique the Plankton Frankenstein segments can be, having it centered around watching TV seems like a missed opportunity. To me, this episode just screams wasted potential.
Come on, Wheel! Give me a good idea for my show!
The wheel of segments is a really good concept for the show, where Patrick can spin it at the start of an episode to decide what to do for his show. But why are most of the choices so boring? Like really, in a show where literally anything can happen, eel hats and bugging your sister are some of the lamest things you could do. The wheel should be full of stuff like the monster thing to at least bring some more interesting stuff to the show. Patrick as a kid here is cute though, although it seems like they forgot about having dialogue in the episode again. Nice to see Goofy Goober returning, I guess.
Looks like you made quite the impression.
Them making fun of how lame a joke was is really ironic though, because I could put that exact clip after pretty much every joke in this episode. What I'm trying to say is, there's really nothing funny here. just lame excuses for jokes. We get this nature documentary of Ouchie and this bunny with Patrick making commentary, so it's basically just Gary and Spot. At least Bill Fagerbecky, that's not how you pronounce his last name, but at least Bill salvages this episode a bit with his voice acting, but that can only get the show so far. Taking the plot into space is something that fits this show, but for some reason Squidina has to pause the video so we can go back to the less interesting episode. We get an unfunny slapstick segment with Patrick's mom. They do some jokes that if executed better could be funny, but as I said before, this show isn't funny. At least we get a kind of cool action segment with Patrick bombing the ice cream truck. The Grandpat and Squidina segment isn't even worth mentioning. The only thing interesting is that Squidina smashes a Barrel Cowboy watch. But after that we actually get something this show does good, experimenting with the art style. We get a boring backstory but with some old Mickey Mouse animation and an okay joke. This episode though is all over the place, like you might have noticed I'm just kind of saying stuff that is happening because there is no plot here, the stuff is just happening.
Castro viewers to the SS Silver Minnow, home to intrepid explorer Captain Doug Quasar. As the most advanced ship in the galaxy, the Minnow is packed to the gills with all manner of cutting-edge technology. And also this robot.
After losing the remote to the TV, Patrick goes into the couch. This episode did a lot of interesting things. First, the whole setting of Patrick going into world in the couch is something that feels new for the Patrick Star Show. He takes Ouchie with him, which is great because that's a character that is new in the Patrick Star Show who gets to do stuff in this episode. Pretty much the entire cast of the SpongeBob show is here though, but unlike in Bummer Jobs, they are just here for a few scenes and we only focus on the Patrick Star Show characters. Some really cool visuals and a good concept make this our first good episode.
Thank you. Welcome to the first annual Patathon!
Patrick hosts a telethon. This episode is so annoying. This is a spin-off show centered around Patrick and his fake family. So why is the entire cast of the main show in this episode only stealing screen time from the new characters that desperately need screen time to get established as characters in the SpongeBob universe? This episode also rips off a 30-year-old Simpsons gag that probably wasn't even new back then.
Anybody here named Ima? I'm a loser. Hey everybody, I'm a loser!
We know!
And that's pretty much the only comedy in this episode. SpongeBob, Squidward and Sandy mess this episode up just by being in it. Patrick doesn't even get to do anything in this episode and it's called the Patrick Star Show, so it's like... this could just be called the SpongeBob, Squidward and Sandy Show. It sucks as a cartoon episode and it sucks even more as an episode of a spin-off. The first special of the show, and I was really worried when I first saw that. This show can't hold its focus for an 11-minute episode, let alone a 22-minute one. So the concept for a special is a yard sale? What? At first I was so confused, because in the main show right now we have specials where the characters go on grand adventures, and here we have a yard sale. This though is actually a setup for Grandpat remembering stuff from a long time ago. Whatever, Grandpat remembers something about gladiators at Colosseum and it's actually kind of cool. This is what I want to see from this show, not boring slapstick cooking segments. Why is Bubble Bass here though? It's better than like SpongeBob or Squidward, I guess. Next, Grandpat remembers being a dentist in the Dark Ages, which again fits the random crazy humor of the show. But now they are just ripping off Dungeons and Dragons. Why make Pearl the princess again instead of like Squidina or something? They just keep on making a case that this show does not need to exist. This segment is decent, however. I think there's a lot of creativity here. This creepy guy is back and he kinda sounds like Ren from Ren and Stimpy. Why is Krabs here? Please stop. He doesn't even look like this show version of him. Like, he doesn't look like the Patrick Star Show version. Like, at least Squidward and SpongeBob have redesigns. He just looks exactly like he does in a normal show. The next segment is Grandpat being a door-to-door gold miner salesman, and holy, I said in a video a while back that the new spin-off movies would probably retcon Krabs' backstory, and I specifically made the example of them making him a gold miner like Scrooge McDuck, and now, wow, I'm a fortune teller. Whatever, the next segment is the future where everything is chrome. This is a nice touch that I actually really appreciate. They call back to the first Gladiator memory and these two fight again. Then we get some random stuff that feels like Rick and Morty interdimensional cable, which is pretty much what this show is already. Yeah, it's a good episode though, all in all. This episode focuses on Squidina, which is really good to build her up as a character. We found out that she works really hard behind the scenes of the Patrick Star Show. I don't know why, but the scene where Patrick walks into the room on fire was really funny for some reason. Squidina wants to hire an intern as they mess up another potential joke. Patrick killing a living ice cream was funny though.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Dun Dinkle.
Then, what? Quandel Dingle walks up and gets hired.
That's our slapstick lever. We try not to overuse that one.
The slapstick lever has got to be a meta joke or something because this show is only slapstick. I really hope it's a meta joke because otherwise this show is actually brain damaged. Squidina and Dingle vent, and this is a cool concept. I have no problems with it. These doors could all lead to interesting new places.
Are you an imposter?
And now they literally say imposter. Making outdated Among Us jokes is only funny when the show isn't actually trying to make outdated Among Us jokes.
And that, Fenton, is how you make a Patrick show. Any questions?
Yeah, who's Patrick?
I can't say Patrick's writing is the best in this show. Dingle stole the Patrick Star Show. This is like the third time they do a medieval Viking thing in like 3 episodes. Please let this whole thing be a Nickelodeon parody because otherwise, yikes.
Oh, hello there! Welcome to another episode of Patster Peace Theater. Today we'll hear the story of...
This episode has some nice references directly with the books. This whole bookshelf segment is perfect for the show and a nice start to the episode. Patrick goes looking for where a funky smell is coming from and turns it into a segment on his show, which is a good idea. Patrick gets what I think is his nose from No Nose Nose back, and we get some cool stuff in the refrigerator. Words are hard. I'm sorry. Refrigerator. That thing where you keep the food. And Patrick's dad becomes a mutant. What is going on? This feels so much like Ren and Stimpy, like it's derivative at this point. I mean, the whole explorer thing is also very Untamed World-esque. They keep up with the theme of the upstairs bathroom being crazy, which is cool. They then go to Squidward's mom's house where the smell is coming from the oven. Then we get an interesting ending to an interesting episode. This is really gross though, like the whole episode is kind of just centered around boogers and trash and stuff. It's sad that one of the best executed episodes has to have the worst premise.
Family vacation, family vacation, family vacation, family vacation, family vacation, family vacation, family vacation.
So the fake Star family go on a vacation. The amazing guy does a commercial for this resort, Frigate Frolic, sponsored by this gas station Gasland that turns out to be where they are actually going. This is not funny, by the way. There is really nothing that interesting going on here. The Star family just run out, messing things up. I think this scene is also ripping off something from the main show, but I'm not sure what. Them jumping around with the music just got me thinking about some SpongeBob episode. All this episode is just Patrick and his family hurting people and destroying this gas station theme park. They are all pretty much the same character here, and it's not enjoyable to watch. The creativity in Gasland and a few character cameos doesn't save the episode from being a mildly frustrating mess.
Star Family Assemble!
This episode starts with the Star family assembling, which is a decent scene. They all need to do chores before family movie nights, and the chore scenes are decent as well. I like Patrick's dad being a lone barber. Patrick's mom goes into Patrick's adventure closet, and she essentially ends up in Primal. This looks really cool, like the art style is fantastic. Patrick's mom is a barbarian now and gets into this fortress where a dust demon is. She fights him with cleaning and defeats him by becoming Mega Karen. This episode has some of the best character designs I've seen in SpongeBob, like, overall, as well as great visuals. The story isn't anything crazy, and the episode isn't funny, because, you know, it's the Patrick Star Show, but compared to most other episodes, this one is really strong. This episode starts with Squidward wanting to get money from... his name is Cecil, I think? Cecil Star? It's Patrick's fake dad anyway, and he has not been paying for his newspapers that Squidward delivers. Patrick enters and thinks his dad is a ghost that he can milk. Oh no, milk for his show, not actually milking him. Jeez, what is my mind going? Crushed about not having any real ghosts, they watch an ad from The Flying Dutchman, which is a concept I actually like about the show. Screw having SpongeBob and Squidward in every other episode. Have side characters from the main show appearing for these ads. This show is about the TV show, after all. Patrick orders 3 ghosts and then eats his socks. For some reason, 2 ghosts show up. Like, you think this be setting up a joke, like he orders 3 ghosts and he gets 2 and then the third one will come in, but no, they never acknowledge this. He just got scammed. But these 2 ghosts arrive and starts haunting Patrick's family as Patrick films it. They aren't very successful at the haunting, so Patrick takes over with the scaring and essentially does Ink Lemonade to Squidward all over again. The plot stops being about haunting and is now instead a makeup show, as we see Squidina has no morals.
Huh? I wasn't trying to kill them, but it makes great television.
The 2 ghosts come back to life and freeloads in the house, just like in Ghost Host. Grandpat recognizes them as they owe him $500,000 and chases them away, and the episode just sort of keeps going for another minute. I found this one just kind of uninteresting. The haunting segment isn't really focused on enough, and it's not funny again. Not the worst episode, but the fact that I kind of just retold the plot of the episode just means I didn't really have anything to say about it. There wasn't really anything I hated here, but not really anything I liked.
I'm ready! Ready to work at the Krusty Krab! But first, Sponge Smash!
Patrick plays with his Krusty Krab playset that, while a kind of funny idea, just messes so much stuff up. So in the first 20 seconds of the episode, the continuity and timeline of the show is so messed up. If this show is supposed to be a prequel to the main show and have SpongeBob and Patrick as their younger selves, why does SpongeBob work at the Krusty Krab? And if it's really another dimension than the main show, still, why does Patrick know about SpongeBob working at the Krusty Krab? He even knows the intro to the main show.
I live in a papaya under the sea. Sponge smash! Or a coconut. Sponge smash! Or a skunk fruit. Sponge smash!
It wasn't even that funny, guys. Patrick has to go to the supermarket after smashing everything, and Grandpat enters the episode to be unfunny. His only joke is that he is old. I'm not sold on him, sold on him as a character at all. I'm not on any, character in the Patrick Star family, but... Anyway, Patrick teleports into the 1940s through one of his doors, which is a cool idea, like a time-traveling door. Turns out it's a nuclear testing area that might be confirming that one fan theory. The timeline doesn't make sense though, but yeah, this show is really not good with time. Patrick just keeps doing stuff and singing the theme song he isn't supposed to know. And then he becomes huge after getting nuclear. He sits on kids that we don't see ever moving again. Pat is taking... no, not Pat. The old guy. How did I forget his name? I said it. Grandpat. Grandpat is taking a hot tub bath with Squidward's grandmother. Interpret that as you want. Butt jokes. SpongeBob is in this episode and Patrick thinks he is an action figure. So, exactly like that one joke in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4, except that joke was actually really funny.
Oh, a Squidward action figure! Let me play with it!
No, Patrick!
Fighter pilot! Dive bomb!
Patrick!
And there comes a giant fish!
Patrick, no! That's not an action figure. That's the real Squidward. I shrunk him by accident.
Oh. And there comes a giant...
Patrick destroys the town and is essentially just giant Squidward all over again. He becomes even bigger as Squidina proves her character is just a less interesting Sandy. War. Patrick becomes really small and the episode ends. This episode was not only boring, but also just a fusion between two episodes of the main show. The Patrick Star Show doesn't really have plots, just stuff happening, and when the stuff is not entertaining, it's just a chore to get through. I'm getting tired just talking about it.
Trick or treat!
Wait.
So this is the big Halloween special and the episode I was most excited to watch. SpongeBob usually does really good with horror and Halloween themes, and I hope the same was true for the spin-offs. Patrick is gonna go trick-or-treating on his show, and we cut to a Frankenstein segment as they are watching Patrick's show. These Frankenstein segments are a bit hit or miss, but they always look good. Plankenstein tells a story about kids coming to get candy at Halloween and then turn on the TV to show a program about Granny Tentacles being a witch in medieval times. She uses voodoo to make the villagers do her bidding, as pretty much everyone is here. I don't know why some characters have new designs in this show and some look the same. It's kind of distracting. Patrick's voodoo doll attacks the witch as the voodoo doll, the voodoo magic becomes reversed. Patrick then eats himself and everyone else. This segment was pretty lame. We already had a way better looking medieval art style and this one just wasn't very interesting. The next one is a bit better though. It's about zombies in the western and is actually very disturbing. I'm surprised they got to do this one because they are actually eating brains on screen. They cut back to the Patrick Star Show. They trick-or-treat Bubble Bass, which I don't care about. Patrick eats all his Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy candy, and why is he the exact same age as the main show? I don't get the premise of this show. Some more Frankenstein shenanigans, and then we get a new space segment, which we had one in the pilot, I think. I remember seeing a space segment in one of the early episodes. I remember liking that one anyway, and the space stuff just looks very good. It's nice to see some new art style and design choices, although this one is just kind of okay. A killer robot is loose on the ship and it's friendly with Patrick but not with the captain. It keeps growling and flushes the captain out of the ship and eats Patrick. Now we get a really cool art style. Look at this background. I will say Madam Hagfish being here makes her cameo in Captain Pipsqueak even more pointless. I heard people praising that episode for bringing back Dark Era characters, but she was already brought back in this episode like a year before. Damn. This episode has so many different segments, it just keeps cutting between. Now the Patrick Star Show story connects now with the Frankenstein stuff as Pat and Squidina go trick-or-treating at the Frankenstein mansion. The art styles smash pretty decently, but that's all I will say really. This episode is cool as a show off of different art style, but it has no real story and it's just a clip show with cool animation. Nothing here was bad and a couple of the segments were decent, but most of it just meh. Patrick is Bob Ross though, and then he's in World War I and stuff. This is kind of the stuff I wish this show would do more, just trying new stuff and not wasting time on boring plots. Patrick reads some viewer mail that turns out to be mail with actual viewers inside, which is pretty funny. They go inside Pat's fake dad. Pause. I mean, they go inside his body. Pause. Some kind of funny surreal stuff happens anyway, and then feet stuff, and ew. Patrick is inside his dad's toe, and this feels straight out of Ren and Stimpy. He meets the amazing guy who gives him a tour. The elevator and everything here is just a really cool concept. I love all of this. It reminds me of those gags with SpongeBob's brain being an office. These three got nice designs as well, and is a good way of representing how feelings work. Turns out Cecil, right? Cecil, gets his memories from literal bombs in his brain. And turns out he also works as a cleaner at the Undersea Space Agency. He gets sent into outer space because of Patrick's doing stuff in the brain. All of this is so cool. This is exactly the kind of stuff I want to see from this show. Just cool concepts, since this show pretty much has no restrictions. It's sad that they more often than not do boring plots that could have just been SpongeBob episodes, instead of things like this. This thing reminded me a bit of Jellyfish Jam. Patrick, moving on. They end up in the stomach and almost die from stomach acids as Cecil is doing his space training. He actually goes into space and throws his son up in a pretty gross scene. They crash back at the house somehow and war. A cool episode, but only by concept and visuals. This show is not funny and the stories are usually not very good.
Oh boy! This camping trip is gonna make the most exciting episode of the Patrick Show yet!
Uh-oh.
Patrick is doing a survival segment on his show, which is actually a good concept. Let's hope they get some good stuff out of it. They go into a king-size RV that I want to own. They even have a cinema inside where they watch a horror movie taking place at a camp. Some cool art choices are displayed, and then they drive through the chum bucket before arriving to the wilderness. Oh my god, this all looks so nice. This is how I wanna go camping. Cecil wakes up to find the RV destroyed and the three of them now having to actually survive in the wilderness. Sound effects times 100 here.
Don't worry, son. When dads go camping, they always bring the 3 G's with them. Gadgets, gizmos, and gear.
Dialogue is not this show's strong suit. Cecil has a portable toilet and Patrick digs a hole and flushes himself. Then the weather gets worse and Squidina meets those giant bugs. And the others meet sea bears and makes a reference to sea lions. Patrick says he is a teenager.
I'm a teenager!
That really messes up the continuity of this show, and the main one even more. What is this show even? Squidina has become the leader of the bugs and has built a giant shelter, and that's how the episode ends. Boring. This episode had some interesting stuff, but it's just not very good.
Merry Christmas!
So this is the Christmas special, but not actually a special. Patrick forgot to buy presents for his family. Wow, what an interesting and original plot. Patrick uses his time-traveling door to go into the future, and turns out the space segments take place in the future, because Patrick ends up here. Patrick gets the present to his dad from the future, as the captain gets beaten up by trees. We get an interesting segment with one of the old man Jenkins being a caveman. Pat goes into the past where there is a giant floating cow for some reason. Patrick steals egg from this monster hen. All around good stuff here. Now he needs a present for his mom, so he goes to a carnival where we see some really interesting stuff. I love the crab sponge, Siamese twin. Patrick steals a tattoo in a clever way as Mrs. Puff tries to kiss a teenager. Yeah, you thought I would forget that you called him a teenager in the last episode, would you? Patrick also got a sea monkey that he gives to Squidina. Everyone is thrilled with their presents until everyone comes back to get their stuff back that Patrick stole from them. But Patrick gives them the gifts that he got in the beginning and all is fine. Then everyone tries to kiss a teenager. Except for that, this was an enjoyable episode. They did something new with it and I liked it at least a bit.
This is Perch Perkins coming to you live from the umpteenth annual Plopnodian Heritage Festival. Strange foods, flavors.
Wait, why is Big Sister Sam here? That is just a giant kick in the face to everyone. You want to pretend like Patrick's real family doesn't exist, but you keep bringing them back. What is wrong with this show? Anyway, stuff happens. We get a really cool artwork of Grandpat, and that is kind of the only good thing about this episode. I don't really care about all of this. There is some decent slapstick, but this plot doesn't interest me. They reverse the weird kissing teenager thing from the last episode and instead have Cecil get kissed by kids. Yikes. I also really hope that this whole festival thing is not parodying a certain heritage, because that would be pretty tasteless. What is going on? This episode is the worst type of random. It's just people being weird and doing weird stuff for 11 minutes. And it messes up the Big Sister Sam, it messes up the continuity. This sucks.
One power glove, used. One pair of boots, smelly. And one, mask? Or is it a helmet?
It's my head!
Man Ray is back, and so is the warden from Inmates of Summer, who apparently works at the Bikini Bottom prison now, and not the island. I wish I could say this is because the Patrick Star Show is a prequel to the main show, but since it has shown multiple times, it isn't. This is just another one of those old character returning in ways that makes no sense things. Man Ray escapes in a pretty entertaining scene with decent animation. Turns out his lair is beneath the Star family house. They rip off a joke from The Secret Box, because of course they do. Pizza things happen, and Man Ray gets beat up and turned into a pizza. We get decent references as Man Ray pretends to be a portrait photographer. Squidina is totally out of character for some reason, as Patrick's family all just show that they are bad characters. Except Ouchie. Ouchie is good.
Hey, come on! Spar with me!
Hit him again, please. Man Ray's ego is angered in a pretty funny scene. We see the basement for the first time, which is also kind of cool, I guess. And we get a decent dialogue-based joke.
Before I can take your family portrait, I need to bury your toys deep underground. Why? Reasons? Well, you've convinced me. Ugh, I don't have all day. Oh, I do have all day. Well, move over, you're boring me. Where'd that kid go? Hello? Hello?
Man Ray finds his lair, which looks amazing. His bomb explodes, and hopefully this is the finale episode. End this show right here and it would be great. We cut to a parallel universe or something and I am lost. The last few scenes were interesting though. All in all, meh. Patrick's family drag down every episode they are in, but when Patrick interacts with other characters, like in the last 3 minutes of this episode, it's a lot better. But then again, most of the times when Patrick interacts with other characters, it's like SpongeBob and Squidward, so why is this a new show?
A giant mutant sea ape is escaping! I guess there's only one thing we can do. We'll have to put him out of our misery!
They just get right into it with this one. Patrick blows up a King Kong robot to end his show. Then he needs money for his next episode as he wants to be in CG. Good gag actually. CG Patrick looked funny. Patrick uses his show to babysit for money, which turns out to have really high demand. Squidward is a baby for God knows what reason. Patrick locks all the babies in a safe and then put them in a playpen. Now they are gonna do a show for kids. Hey, that's just like what this show already is. No, that's not true, because kids can't even enjoy this show. The babies escape and almost get chopped by the robot gardener as gross stuff happens. Patrick does a Dora parody or something, then some other stuff happens. It's not very funny. This episode, it sucks.
Well, what's taking so long?
Oh, I can't decide. Which tutu? Orange or green? Okay, both. Swallowing swords. I can't find my sousaphone. Better bring these instead. Now, where did I put my possessed ventriloquist dummy? Oh, no, you don't. No, I don't want to pay. Is that a sword?
So this episode is about Pearl being on the Patrick Star Show. I don't know if this messes anything up, but I'm sure it does. Patrick is a baby in a diaper, because of course he is. Pearl bombs and starts crying as Krabs plays cards with Grandpat, who shows a war flashback, which is cool. Krabs shows a flashback from his Navy days, which is also cool, I guess. But I'm feeling again like they're messing up the continuity or something here. I don't even know why. It's just like this lingering feeling in the back of my head. Anytime something like this happens, I really don't like this show. The cards they're playing with look cool. Something else positive. At this point, I'm really tired of talking about this show. Patrick takes another break and Pearl goes up to dance. For some reason, the audience doesn't laugh when she's hurting herself, which is pretty much what Patrick usually does on his show. So, I don't know. Krabs and Grandpat play croquet. Is that what it's called in English? Croquet? Pearl just cries more. This A-plot is not very good. It's bad when I think Grandpat has the better plots. Patrick hoops, which is the best thing about this story. Pearl sings and the audience finally likes it. Grandpat uses a catapult to drop a piano on crabs, but shoots himself into orbit with it instead. Good. Stay there.
Good morning and welcome to Star in Action News.
Only 2 episodes left. Patrick does a news show, which is a good concept to get some quick stories in, similar to how they do the TV segments. Sadly, these news are just not interesting. We're just gonna skip past the first ones until we get to the seahorse race. Good animation as they race through the house. Pat and Squidina get kicked out of the house for some reason and now have to go find the plot outside. Squidward's grandma does stuff and SpongeBob is in this episode because he has to be in as many episodes as possible of the show that shouldn't even have him at all in it. This literally becomes a boarding school episode in the Patrick Star Show. Squidina once again breaks character for the plot to work as she is as stupid as Patrick now. They end up at the Krusty Krab and thankfully don't break continuity this time. Mr. Krabs worked the register, which means this is before Squidward was hired, which makes sense since he is a paperboy. Paperboy. The two follow a robber while Squidina is still unusually dumb. Patrick fights Perch Perkins for the scoop as police arrive. The robber frames the reporters and the episode ends. This one was kind of decent but nothing special at all. Let's just get into the final episode. I'm so tired.
Welcome to the Patrick Show mid-season finale! I'm Perch Perkins, coming to you live from the pink carpet. Here come the stars now!
It's the in-universe mid-season finale for the Patrick Star Show. SpongeBob can't stay out of these episodes, can he?
I'll teach you to tell stinky jokes.
What a shame. The Patrick Show has really gone downhill since the first 3 episodes.
Nope, the first 3 episodes were bad as well. What is happening? Stop! We are live action or something and then this creepy guy does some poetry. He finds a girl. Yay. Sandy is here. Yay. Dutchie is here. Yay. Everyone is here. But the Patrick Star Show characters. We get a decent segment with Fred and a toilet. The toilet keeps knocking people into the well. Okay. And we cut to lots of Patricks that we have seen in earlier episodes, which it's kind of funny. Jesus, stop cutting so much. I can't even explain the plot because it just keeps changing. This episode has the least focus of any Patrick Star Show episode. I don't get bored though, which is good. Stuff keeps happening and the segment switches just keeps coming, so you can't get tired of any of them. I couldn't really tell you what is actually happening in the episode, but things keep happening, I assure you. Then the episode just kind of ends.
And so ends BBTV's Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 10-day marathon.
Here I thought I was done, but I missed an episode. This one has SpongeBob and Patrick watching a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy marathon, and then going back in time to see their first adventure. Patrick attacks a statue as they found out that they are at the Super Child daycare, where they are mistaken for working there, and now have to take care of super babies. Man Ray is here as a baby, and so is the Dirty Bubble, and so is Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. This is funny, but makes zero sense with the lore Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy have. For example, you know, they did not grow up underwater. We already have Mermaid Man Begins that explains their backstory, and this goes against that. It's kind of cool to have this story presented as a comic, but it's just so lame that they contradict everything set up in the main show. And then they of course use their younger versions in the end, just so they can milk the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy saga without having to acknowledge that the voice actors passed away. This episode is just so lame overall. I'm glad I'm done. Okay, but we are actually not done yet, because let's get into the ranking. Number 24, Kleptonian Heritage Festival. Number 23, Padathon. Number 22, Gas Station Vacation. Number 21, Patrick's Alley. Number 20, Who's a Big Boy? 19, Pearl Wants to Be a Star. 18, The Haunting of Star House. 17, Enemies a la Mode. 16, Super Sitters. 15, Squidina's Little Helper. 14, Nitwit Neighborhood News. 13, Survivoring. 12, Bummer Jobs. 11, Star Wars. 10, X Marks the Spot. Pots. Whatever. 9, I Smell the Pats. 8, Terror at 20,000 Leagues. 7, Late for Breakfast. 6, Mid-Season Finale. 5, To Dad and Back. 4, Lost in Couch. 3, The Yard Sale. 2, Just in Time for Christmas. And 1, the best episode, Bunny the Barbarian. Now, out of these 24 episodes, there were like maybe 5 that I like actually enjoyed at least something. Okay, that's a bit harsh, but okay, this show sucks. That's what I'm trying to say. It sucks. I overrated it because I like watched the first episodes and I said it had potential, but now I've watched like 20 more episodes and it sucks. The Patrick Star Show sucks. I think the problem really is that the things that makes this show like unique from the main show are the things that drag it down mostly. I'm really coming up with this at the spot, but I feel like Patrick's family is bad, right? They are bad, but when they are not in the episode, we have like SpongeBob and Squidward, and they shouldn't be in the episode either. I think if you just remove Patrick's family and remove like SpongeBob and Squidward and just have Patrick and Ouchie, because Ouchie is good, I like Ouchie, but Patrick and Ouchie just living in this house and just doing the TV without his stupid family and just getting into shenanigans with like smaller side characters and stuff, it would be great. Like that Lost in Couch episode. It's the only episode of these 24 where Ouchie got to do anything significant. And in all these other episodes, we have either Grandpat or Cecil or Bunny. Okay, actually, Bunny had one good episode. She had one good episode, but she, out of that, except for that episode, she had nothing good. Grandpat, they're all trash. The Patrick Star Show is trash. I don't like it. It has some good episodes, and it might put out some more good episodes, but it's worse than the main show. Okay, we're done with this. Thanks for watching.